every morning, look in the mirror and tell yourself how much you love yourself. That is a true manifestation of love. Love is not about someone that you could live with, but it's about the person you can't live without. No, not at all. Marriage is the most selfless thing. As a matter of fact, when we use the word love, love in Hebrew is called ahava. And ahava means to have, to give, to share. The whole notion of true love, absolute love in its truest form and its most perfect form, is to share with others, is to give to others. When someone thinks about a child, take the metaphor of a child, and you say, I love my child so much. Does someone love the child because maybe the child is helpful at home? No. Does someone love a child because what they get? No. The true love of a child is what you are able to impart and what you're able to give to your child. And that is only symbolic relative to the deep love that a husband and a wife feel for each other. They're there to give to one another. By default, the more you give, the more in return you get. Love is about making sure the other person is fresh, is vibrant. We're bringing out the best in them, and then we get the best. Love is a word today that's been hijacked by Hollywood. So when you talk about, do you have love in your marriage? Is love sufficient? If you were just to say, all I need is love, the answer is no. You know, in the Jewish beautiful Torah, we have something called the Torah portion of Yitro, and we have the Torah portion of Mishpatim. Yisro is the union, is the marriage between God and the Jewish people. And we're told how God came down the mountain to the Jewish people, and Moshe Rabbeinu, representing the Jewish people, went up to God. There was a union between heaven and earth. There was a union between God and the Jewish people. That was a love moment. We said, we love you, and God embraced us. He said he loves us. It was the most magical, utopian moment in our relationship. But you know what the next Torah portion is? Mishpatim. You know what Mishpatim is? All details of laws of what we need to do. It would be akin to, on the honeymoon, talking about details of taking out the garbage. Who's going to be responsible for all the nitty-gritty details of day-to-day life? And the answer is, love needs to manifest itself in how you interact on a daily basis. Love is not just, I love you, and then I'm not going to be there for you. Love is not sufficient to just say, we're good, we've got this. Love needs to translate into every single morning when I look you in the eye. There's an incredible moment over there. We make each other breakfast. You maybe help. You do things that the other doesn't even know they're missing, so they wouldn't even realize. You make sure that you clean up the dishes after yourself. You look out for one another. That is a translation of love. To say, I love you and that's sufficient? No. Love needs to translate into every single day, how you look and how you treat one another. That is a true manifestation of love. You know, marriage is a very interesting relationship, and I'll explain to you why. Probably the most incredible relationship that someone typically would think of is a parent and child. And a parent and child, it's magical, it's beautiful. You love each other, and there's no ability, if you think about it, in a parent and child or in a sibling, there's no ability to ever somehow close that relationship. There's no end to it. Brothers, they could love each other, they could hate each other. They will always be brothers. Nothing they do could ever separate themselves inherently and say, we are no longer brothers. They may verbalize that, they may say that, they may live a life like that, but they'll always be brothers no matter what. A parent and a child, the same is true. And yet when you think about it, in the relationship between a husband and wife, you can sever that relationship. You can end it. So on one hand, that is somewhat seen as a fault, if you like, in a marriage, that a marriage has an ability to end versus the relationship between a sibling or the relation between a parent and child. But truly, if you think about it deeply, the greater the risk, the greater the reward. You see, because you have an opt-out, because you have an ability to go out of it, you've also got an ability to make this relationship so much deeper. You see, a relationship between siblings will never have the fire, the passion, the love that a husband and wife will have, including the relationship between a parent and child. You could love each other so deeply, but there'll never be that level of love that exists between a husband and a wife. A husband and wife, that relationship, it is something which is an intrinsic bond. And the reason it's such an intrinsic bond is because you are choosing it every single day of your relationship. Every day you wake up and you say, I am choosing to be together. And that freedom of choice that allows you to choose your spouse every day, that is the secret of a successful marriage. Because every day you're redoing it. It's not something that just is, as in so many other relationships, but it's something I know I need to work on. It's something that I know every day I need to get engaged in it and get involved in it. My very, very dear friend in Melbourne says to me, and I love it, and I'll even give you a quote from Tim Rubin, says, every morning, look in the mirror and tell yourself how much you love yourself. Now, that is not coming from a place of ego. It's not being self-centered, egotistic. It's not about that. But it's about knowing if you love yourself and you're enjoying who you are, you could love your spouse, you could love your partner. You could look them in the eye and say, I love you. Because every day, do that. Look at your wife. Wife, look at your husband. Tell each other how much you love each other. Tell each other how much you treasure one another. Tell each other how valuable you are and how life without you would not be bearable. Because as Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sacks of blessed memory said, is that love is not about someone that you could live with, but it's about the person you can't live without.